Hello everyone, I'm Robbie.
I'm Kat.
And I'm Emily.
And welcome to The Film Strip, a movie review podcast where we discuss and analyze a different movie each episode. Forewarned, there are spoiler alerts ahead, so if you haven't seen the movie, definitely check it out beforehand. For today's show, we are going to be talking about Welcome to Marwen, directed by Robert Zemeckis. Welcome to Marwen is based on the true story of a photographer, Mark Hogancamp. After suffering from a traumatic brain injury from an assault, Mark, the main character, tries to recover by constructing a miniature World War II era Belgian village. All right, this is like our fifth time trying to start this podcast. This is the first one. Hi.
Hi.
So, welcome to Marwen. How did we feel?
I wasn't expecting the story to be that.
Right? Yeah, like after watching it, I was sort of like, oh my goodness. I still felt a little bit like confused. Yeah. I mean, certainly I knew it was like going on, like the whole thing, and but I was a little bit like, what?
Well, that's kind of how the story was told. It was it was more of like we were spectating just the part of his life in that moment
and putting the pieces together as you go along.
Exactly.
Which I kind of like sometimes. Like,
it was interesting. I think, a lot of the other characters, like that was their, I guess, struggle with Mark, is that they were trying to piece like what was going on in his head, because they were trying to help him.
Yeah.
Because, he's like suffering and stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like what's in his head. Yeah.
Right.
And I guess going into it, like I saw like a few trailers, but that was a while ago and I didn't really know what the story was going to be. So like it was just kind of like, here's a movie, let's watch it. Yeah,
I think the first time I saw a trailer for this movie was like in the theaters. I was watching some of the movie, and the thing that was like intriguing was like the whole like use of dolls.
Yeah, I didn't know it was
like
going to be as heavily. I looked it up and it's actually motion capture.
Neat.
Where they got like the actors actually acted all of that out, but they went back over it with motion capture.
And it looked really good.
Yeah, I mean it looked really. It's kind of weird saying this like realistic, because like they're dolls, so they're not supposed to look realistic.
No, but as far as like the way that their faces moved with their eyes, it's like
they meshed it very well with like the real world, because like they went back and forth. That was something that I thought was really cool. And
it was like
the way that the main character Mark was like trying to, tell a story through his like photography and everything, and we would be immersed in his world, which was like Captain Hoagie and like in World War II and like that city,
Marwen,
Marwen,
the village of
Marwen. And then like he'll take the picture and it like trans you back into like real life. And so I thought that was really interesting.
And compared to like other Robert Zemeckis films like A Christmas Carol, Polar Express, and like Monster House, like that type of motion capture, like I'm kind of not a fan of. Like the way it looks sometimes to me looks creepy, but like with the use of like dolls and stuff, this looked less creepy.
I feel like it was more fitting. Motion capture was more fitting for this type of movie than it was like for like Monster House, like just like animation.
But if you look at it like from back, when was Monster House?
Monster House is old.
2006. So 2006 all the way to now. It was like 2018 when this movie was made.
Yeah.
Like
I'd hope it'd be better.
Yeah. But like the improvement there like was like really, really like big.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's done a movie with like both real world and motion capture. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
no,
I think Monster House was like all like animation,
and then his Castaway and Forrest Gump, obviously
had nothing. Yeah. Well, you say that because Forrest Gump had John F. Kennedy.
You're not wrong.
And all those, that was
which was realistic.
Pretty brand new, like in '94 when it came out. Like that was pretty like groundbreaking. Yeah. As a people
especially back then, but I think like in this sense, like for this movie, I think it worked somehow.
I think it flowed very well back and forth from when we were going from his world of like Marwen to his actual, real life.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there was I don't remember what scene or where in the movie this was. I think it was when what's the witch's name? The witchy witch. Deja, yes.
Her name is Deja.
Deja something. It's supposed to be like the medication, right?
Deja Thoris.
Deja Thoris.
Yes.
Well, she is like right next to, this is like right where like he is at his worst. He like just fell to the floor and he like is just woe is me and hates himself and all that. And he doesn't understand what's going on. But she is like right there next to him.
In his ear.
Ear. And she's like, petting him, like touching him. And like, I don't know if you noticed, but like when she was touching him, you could see Steve Carell's, well, I guess Mark, his skin move.
Yeah, the indentations in his face.
Yeah, and like the lighting and everything, like I didn't feel like she was, I mean, of course it was like in the sense of like, okay, that's not a real person. But
it's an illusion.
It's an illusion, but it didn't seem like it was like poorly done. So that was just, I think the attention to detail there was like really neat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool. There was actually I looked it up, and there's actually a documentary about Mark Hogancamp, and it was called Marwen Cole. So the real
yeah, we should talk about him.
Yeah, the real like exhibit, I guess, or the real city at the end was called Marwen Cole, but the Cole actually came from a woman named Colleen. Not Nicole.
So
Nicole.
it wasn't Nicole without the E.
So that was a little edit that they did in the movie.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And his wife. So in the movie, how many main like women are in his life? There was like 5 or 6 of them.
So there's like the Russian one who's like Anna. There's the Spanish one who's like Carlola.
Who worked with him,
Right, the one who worked with him.
There
we
was
have
at the bar.
Julie,
yes,
who helped him in rehab.
right. She was kind of like the army vet, played by Janelle Monáe, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then there was Roberta, who was like the lady.
The hobby shop store owner.
Yes.
Yeah, so
And the French girl.
And
the
Suzette,
French girl. This is what I'm getting to.
actress.
Suzette,
yes.
the French actress that we see in the movie, is actually the Leslie Zemeckis. So Robert Zemeckis's wife. Which is pretty interesting, yeah.
That's an interesting.
It's really
role to
cool.
put your
So,
life in.
yeah, so she actually, that's how she got her career started off.
Oh well.
In X-rated films.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was very interesting. It says that she started her. she first started off appearing in softcore Skin Max films.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
Well, hey, I mean, she definitely.
You got to start
played the
somewhere.
part.
Yeah.
She did a good job.
you.
Which, okay, can we talk about that for like a little? We don't take it in depth, but what in the world? I didn't understand the scene too much when poor Nicole walks in and sees Mark watching that.
Oh.
And he's
I guess,
watching it like just like as like she's the character or whatever.
Yeah.
But like to an outsider, and I think even the audience, like it's alarming to see like why are you openly just watching?
And he was very nonchalant about it. He was like, "Oh yeah, it's,
I guess
Right.
it's like
because
one of my
it's
favorite actresses."
nonchalant.
I know.
Because that's just part of his life. Because like he remembers very few things. So like.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think he
guess
sees
it's
it as wrong.
Yeah.
No, I think once.
I mean, it's not inherently Yeah.
I mean, but it's certainly something you wouldn't just have playing if like someone's
In your
come
living
over
room and
like,
you're- yeah.
and then like even if it's unexpected, you would probably like, oh, sorry, you had to see that or whatever. But like it was nonchalant to him.
Yeah.
And even when she was looking at like the art, his art, which had some of that.
Yeah. But I guess like even earlier in the film.
Oh, his
like,
old
when,
illustrations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roberta came in that one scene. She came over and she was like, why does my doll not have her top on?
Right.
What's with
No,
that?
again,
But,
right?
Yeah. So, I guess that's like some part of him like kind of lost that filter of like, oh, this societal norm,
Right.
like
And honestly, I don't
I
think
should keep to myself, but like sometimes like that
I don't-
does
Yeah. I don't think it
Disappears.
was
Sexual.
I don't think to him it is like this like dirty thing, because
Right.
even beforehand he said that he's always loved like a woman's essence.
Essence,
Yeah.
right? That's how you put it.
So maybe that is just a part of it. Like
And
he
yeah,
just
it can
Right.
be comforting to him because like sometimes there's like very few things that can comfort you.
Right. And I think he was gravitating through to women's essence. So whether that be like their body or like the way they
clothing,
dress,
yeah.
their shoes, and like especially the shoes, right?
Yeah.
Which he owned like 287
Yeah, before
pairs of shoes.
Nicole gave him a bunch
Right.
of pairs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess that's something he's like attached himself to because it once again like comforts him.
Right. I think one of the themes of the movie was like women empowerment.
definitely
And,
yeah.
that was very much present.
Those were like his heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even like both like Captain Hoagie. So like let's talk a little bit about Captain Hoagie, like as the
Okay.
character.
Yeah.
You know, that was certainly Captain Hoagie's like team.
Yeah.
Like his unit and
Protectors,
everything.
yeah.
Were the women. And like a lot of the times, you know, Captain Hoagie was like being tortured or like he was captured by the Nazis or dealing with whatever, and it was the women who came to rescue him.
Yeah. Like and especially in his real life, like it seems like the women were
Yeah.
always there to help him. Like whether it was Anna, his caregiver, Carlala, his like coworker who was
yeah.
always there to like listen to him and like hear his stories and stuff, and Roberta at the hobby shop, you know, always
Comforting
Like,
him and
yeah.
like looking out for the best for him.
yeah, like looking out for things that he likes, like
Right.
the dolls and stuff. And Wendy, who we didn't really meet in real life, because I
Right.
guess so after like his assault, she was the one who like found him and like
Right.
kind of like saved his life. But from the story we learned, I guess she like moved to California or something, but she was the one who saved him. So like a lot of like women in his life like were always there to help him like recover.
Right. It was interesting. I think Wendy probably was like the first one
Yeah.
to start the whole kind of like his gravitation towards women and
Definitely.
and empowerment and all that stuff, because like he got attacked and she was the one that found him, and so I think naturally like he felt a connection with Wendy.
And Marwen is actually the combination of their two names, Mark and Wendy. I found that out as well.
Yeah. So okay, that makes sense.
So the story, yeah, like the story, we already start off with Marwen,
Right.
the village already being a thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
I
we
didn't know
learned
that.
that like he retired her doll, but in the story,
Right, yeah.
Deja, the Belgian witch,
Yes.
like I guess zapped her, but that was kind of like resembling in real life. She
she moved on.
zapped herself away, but
Yeah.
because of his like addiction to the pills, he I guess thought it was like maybe like because of him, and like he isn't able to love people without like them disappearing.
Right.
That was something that I kind of got confused on, was the fact that she said that she zaps him to the future. Like, what was that?
You know what? I was thinking about that. I bet it's just a
Is it
allusion to
Back to the Future?
Yeah.
Another Robert Zemeckis
Yeah,
film.
because later, whenever Deja is in the car,
Yeah.
Time machine.
Yeah, the
Yes.
time machine when she gets zapped to the future. You
Basically
see
the DeLorean.
Yeah,
you see the
trails.
flame stripes in the air, like in Back to the Future.
That, honestly, that kind of took me out of the story, because it just seemed a little
Right.
too ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it just seems like such a... And I know there's points in, like a comic relief, but that just
Yeah.
seemed like...
Too much of like an Easter egg, like
Yeah, it seemed
Yeah.
a little
Didn't
too
find
much.
her
Like,
face.
not as genuine. Like, it doesn't seem like that is Mark's work. Like, it doesn't seem
Yeah.
like...
Yeah. Yeah,
'Cause
it was not
it's
from
all
that
about
world.
him.
Exactly,
being in,
exactly.
Like World War II, like isn't it like
Belgium? Yeah, it's like-
Belgium that's where his like
Right.
city is.
It just felt
It just
like
felt-
a
it was
stretch.
jarring.
Yeah.
It was a little, yeah. But I mean,
Reaching.
like, I guess, I don't know. I get it with like the whole Deja, because she's like out there. She's like this weird thing. And so I guess
That's
it
like
kind
hard
of
to be understood because it's
But it
he
was a
doesn't
little
understand,
wild.
yeah.
Like the ending was a little like kind of crazy, like all over the place. I mean, it was nice that what's his face, Kurt, got his.
Yeah.
Or was I don't even know
That was
the doll equivalent of him.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
the general, the Nazi general, like the heel and the neck. I was like, oh my goodness.
yeah,
but,
and then being impaled.
yeah, it was intense. That was kind of funny, or I wouldn't
I
say
thought
funny,
that
but it
was-
was cool the way that they
Yeah.
they had violence. Was that like as soon as like the dolls died, quote unquote,
Yeah, they
Um,
became like
they would just kind of like freeze into like solid figures, almost like kind of like Toy Story, like
Yeah.
"Andy's
Exactly.
coming,"
and
you
he's
know.
coming.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
I mean, other than that, I liked the film. I liked it a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a good movie. It was interesting.
Yeah.
It was, it was enjoyable in some like aspects, but I don't know. To me, would I watch this movie again? I think that's a good question. Would I watch it again? Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah,
I
probably not.
agree.
But like watching it the first time, it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like
It says that it was a, what was it? Comedy, drama.
It says it was a comedy drama. Just a comedy drama.
yeah, I have
The
it.
comedy was
But comedy's
the-
first.
The comedy.
Right.
Yeah, there were some comedic moments, but some moments
some of the
were
puns were like, oh my
very
goodness.
real.
Yeah, I know. So something that was like kind of like real, and I was kind of
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness.
And I mean, it's a
was-
true story, so like
Yeah, and
that
so
stuff does happen in real life. Where
you have to keep
Yeah.
in mind that this is a real story, and like a lot of like I think a lot of aspects I would have been like, I'm not sure if like that was the right thing to like go to or like that path to go down, but like it's a real story and they kind of have to stick to what actually happened. Something that was kind of like really, I don't know, sad was the panic attacks. To me,
Yeah.
that like stood out.
That's
was, like,
very real.
Like it is very real, and like it like jumped into like his panic attacks jumped into like war attacks. Like it felt
Yeah.
like there was like bullets flying through the air. It was like the Nazis like actually like coming into like attack him.
yeah,
And
and you kind of see like that's like the pressure he felt. Like even if like none of that was real, that's what
right.
goes through your head. Like
And
Yeah.
and he's been feeling that because the trial.
It's like
That's been
he's had a
upcoming.
war
Yeah.
like internally
Yeah.
with himself. So
It's traumatic.
Yeah.
I think definitely the scene where he's in like the was it the little hobby store?
yeah,
He
Roberta's store.
Roberta's, yeah, and they're just talking whatever, and she was like so kind and thoughtful to get him like the Nazi general like
yeah,
doll,
because she
and
knows like
she knew like he was
part
like
of his story,
yeah,
yeah.
it would have like helped to the story.
That's how he sees his attackers.
yeah,
Yeah.
as
As
Nazis.
yeah,
because one of them actually has a swastika tattooed onto his arm, and he looked at the TV and he like freaked out.
because he saw them like being featured like on a
Being-
news
it
story.
was just
yeah.
seeing them, just like
Yeah.
being reminded of that night was traumatic for him. And
Reliving it.
reliving it, really, and like that's kind of like there was no separation for him. I think between his fantasy, more or less, and
Between
real
his
life.
like
His
Marwen village.
Marwen village passion, like his work, and like real world.
Well, that's especially when he says to Nicole like, "Oh yeah, that's why I put stiletto shoes on
Right.
you."
Yeah.
Referencing that he put them on her like
Yeah.
doll.
Because he knew that she was like a stiletto woman because she brought
Yeah.
him like almost these same exact pair of shoes that he put on her doll.
And she says, "Well, you didn't put them on me. You put them on the doll."
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point in the movie where you kind of start seeing like that's where you realize you're like, okay,
Yeah.
he is definitely tying like a lot of things in his life to Marwen.
Yeah.
And it gets to a point where like, the whole proposal scene,
Yeah.
which was like,
Ooh.
yikes, that was a little tough to watch.
Secondhand like
Yeah.
embarrassment. That's tough.
It was very tough.
Yeah. Because he saw it because in his story in Marwen, Nicole, he brought Nicole in there. Like
The
he got
tea,
her a
little
doll.
tea
Yeah.
house.
And they started to fall in love, Nicole and Hoagie.
Yeah.
And then, so he took it as, oh, I'm falling in love with Nicole because she's, you know, being there for me, like trying to help. But to Nicole, she's just trying to help him. Like, she's not.
I think she was just being friendly.
Yeah. Like, and sometimes like you can like misinterpret that. Like,
yeah, I think it was just so like, I don't know, painful to watch because he was dressed.
Well.
He means well, and he was like really trying to like bring the fantasy to life. He was dressed up as his, you know, Captain Hoagie.
Yeah.
He brought a Purple Heart.
Yeah.
Like, and like had the photos and everything. So like the preparation and the thoughtfulness was there, like for sure. But,
and you want the best for Hoagie, but you also understand like Nicole's side, like that's not where she's going with this.
Right.
Like, she's just trying to be friendly. And then just watching that, it's like, oh,
it was tough.
Heartbreaking. Yeah.
It was really tough.
Because you want the best for both of them, but it's like,
it's something that I didn't understand towards the end. And I think this is kind of the beauty of the film, right? It's about this guy. It's about this Mark Hogancamp. Thank you. And, you know, his life. And so as him as a person and like the things that he has to go through. Normally, I feel like in the movie in the end, he would like get over like Nicole and like move on and be kind of like a fresh slate, but like this time with a better mindset, with a better understanding. But like even in the end, like he named the town Marwen Cole. Mm-hmm. Like, so, you know, I think maybe as a person, I guess understands that he won't be with Nicole, but like also his character is now with Nicole. So like, I don't know, to me that was just it was a little strange.
I think because he's starting to separate himself from Hoagie. Like he says at the end, like in real life, like,
yeah, he says like it worked out for Captain Hoagie, but he says like in real life that's not how it is.
Yeah. So like once he like kind of beat his addiction to the pills, which I want to talk about too, like he's starting to realize like I am not Hoagie. Like, yeah, like this story is kind of based on my life, but I shouldn't like identify like, you know.
Right. Yeah, I think he does come to that conclusion, which was like such a turn of events. Like, oh, she was a German spy.
Yeah.
And
she was like the enemy. She wasn't there to love me. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. Like Deja's whole character and like the Greek love like represents his medication that he's like supposed to be taking like 1 pill of per day, but he's been like kind of abusing it, taking like 3 and stuff because he thinks like
this is the only thing that's going to help me.
Like if I take it, it'll help me, like because if I don't, then I'll realize like I'm like the problem. I was the reason for the attack. Like this is like these pills are the only thing that really loves me in my life. But later on, like he realizes like no, like abusing these drugs, that's what's hurting me. And like in the story, like Deja's character turns out to be a German spy. Like she's not really there for him. She's hurting him. She's the one bringing all the Nazis like back to life to like come for him again.
Right.
Yeah, because he believes like that he's always going to have to depend on Deja or, you know, his medication to help him get through or just to exist, like to get through life.
Right. I mean, like he's very dependent on it, and it's just sad. Mm-hmm. It's really sad, but I mean, what other option does he have? Like in the movie, obviously, like towards the end, like he realizes it himself, and I think it's partially because of the women in his life. I almost want to argue that the women in his life not necessarily are to blame, but like I think they just have been helping him along the way, right? And I think there's only so much you can do. Like if you look at it from like a perspective, like you're dealing with someone who has problems, like you're just gonna help them day to day. I think the whole emphasis of the movie was that Mark, the character, had to realize it himself for him to really defeat his demons. And and that, you know, happened I mean, you really saw that when he finally is okay at the trial, because like the first time, remember, he storms out,
Yeah.
but like not only did he storms out, like a whole shooting war like goes out, all hell literally broke loose, and like there was shooting and stuff like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, because he wasn't
internally.
like, ready.
Internal. Oh yes,
Yes.
We should specify internally, like, you know, in his mind, but
through his perspective, that's what was happening.
Right.
Yeah.
But realistically, what happened was he was essentially, I mean, having a panic attack, and he was like, I can't take it, and he ran out of the courtroom.
And then finally, the second time when he's there in the makeup trial,
he was able to get off.
He was able to just. I mean, I don't think he necessarily won like what he wanted to do, like in such a grand, victorious way, where he like kind of like, I don't want to say like kills the people, but like as his character would have done, because they're Nazis.
Up to them,
He stood up to them and he told them like, you can't hurt me anymore.
Yeah.
So
you're not in control of me anymore.
Right. Exactly. And that's where like I think
like that's a personal
victory.
Yeah.
In real life, which is something that like I think he needed.
And it came like directly from him, because that wasn't he. At some point, he stops looking at the script that his lawyer gave him, and he just says what's on his mind, and that's what he says. You can't control me anymore.
And that's my whole point. Is like, you know, the people in his life, I wouldn't say necessarily are to blame, but you know, they're only just helping him. But it really had to be him that was the one to fix things, and you know, the women and the lawyers, you know, telling him, oh, you should do this or whatever.
Yeah.
There was that constant, like the cloud that was over the whole movie was kind of like, you know, his demons, of course, but also the trial and like all that kind of leading up to that. And that I feel like embodied, you know, his struggle to get over that.
Yeah.
So like that was, I did like that ending where it was kind of like, okay, he was able to, you know, become in control.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
In control of his life again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which he was like terrible. Like it was so terrible what happened to him. Because like out of his control, his memories were completely taken away from him.
Yeah, like his whole life.
Just because he was being himself.
Yeah, which is horrible, especially to think like this is a true story. Like stuff like that happens. Like just because he was, I guess, a little different. Like he just liked wearing women's shoes.
Right.
Like that was it. But for that, he was viciously like beaten within an inch of his life. And all of his like memories and everything were completely stripped from him, taken away.
Even his talent of like drawing.
Illustration.
He was
and
an
he
artist.
could barely write his
Amazing
own name
artist.
afterwards.
Right.
Like
That's...
And it's like terrible. Like
you don't want to believe that you know,
yeah.
humans are capable of doing that to other humans.
Yeah.
But it
you
happens.
wish it was like fiction.
Right.
But
I think that's probably like why the film could be so powerful to some people, is that this is a real story. I'm sure it's embellished a little bit, but you know, it still stands that, you know, these terrible things could happen to you, but you can kind of lift above and like go above and like become better and in control. And
just because like these people like took things from him doesn't mean he can't like
still be amazing in his own ways. I like that. I think, I don't know, I'm trying to think about what was kind of like quirky. There was a lot of quirky things in the movie. Something that kind of made me like all the way from like the Back to the Future stuff, like that was definitely quirky, and I was like kind of took me out of the movie. But like what took me out of the movie too was this is such a small thing, and it's just personally what I think, but it was the Russian lady Anna, who I love, the actress.
Gwendolyn Christie.
Yes, love her. She's in Game of Thrones.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Yes, she is amazing. But I don't know how good of her Russian was. Not that I can do better, but I mean, yeah, her accent at some points, yeah, for sure. But
kind
like,
of the way I took
goofy.
it, the way I took it, it kind of was supposed to be ridiculous. I guess,
so too, yeah.
Because that's just her character.
Right.
But I mean, it was funny.
Yeah.
But it definitely that was like the least distracting thing compared to the Back to the Future references.
This whole movie is supposed to be like a comedy drama, and like that's like such a it's like hard to do that, right? Because like you're trying to be funny, but you're also trying to be serious, so it's kind of like a lot of, how do you balance that?
Jeez, serious moments, but okay, I just like lost my voice, but that's great. But yeah, it was kind of funny thinking like in some of the serious moments, like, oh, great comedy, guys.
Yeah, it was a little like, oh, I guess this is funny. Like okay, when the war scene happens, I can see like how some people might laugh at that. Like I'm referring to like when the TV changes to that war thing. It was just so jarring. It just kind of made you kind of like, oh my goodness. And she drops the remote and like,
oh yeah, and it's like, of all the things that could go wrong.
Like it's just kind of funny. But at the same time, it's like, oh my god, it's not funny because like he is.
Yeah, it's like kind of like shocking, and you're like, oh, it's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So maybe that was the intention of it.
That is so. I mean, yeah, I think they were really trying to. We were really just spectating, and it was just, I don't know. They were, I don't know. Like, I guess.
No, I agree with you. Like, we were definitely spectators, and definitely like it wasn't like in a normal sense. I don't think this film really was controlled by like what normally like story. Like if you look at a story like having a happy ending and like some things like going right and stuff, I don't think it really played effect to that, because like there's some movies that are kind of like embellished and it's supposed to be like kind of like golden and like things work out and everything's perfect, everything's fine. There is some problems, but this was like realistic. Like a lot of the things were just like he has panic attacks, he gets rejected by Nicole. In the end she comes to the show and she leaves. She doesn't even say hi.
There's no real conclusion with them at the end,
right? And I feel like that's really realistic,
because
like,
I guess there's no conclusion in life. She still lives across from him,
exactly. And something that was kind of interesting, I don't know if this was like necessarily a nod to his other movies, but the Nicole's kid, if you remember, like Mark was in his house, in her house.
I think that's just real life. Like
it may have been. I don't know. When I saw that, I immediately thought of like Forrest Gump, and like the whole like this whole like character. Right. This is a character who's like kind of going through life unapologetically, and like I don't think they really realize like sometimes their implications and sometimes their actions and stuff. And like that was definitely like Forrest. I know we're not reviewing that movie, but I'm just like, I'm pretty sure everyone knows that movie, but like Forrest was just like himself like throughout the entire time. And like, it was just kind of going through life. And I think Mark was very similar. Like he was just going through life in his own way. And even before the accident, I think that was also true. Like
had always been him.
It had always been him. And like I think that's kind of like maybe a reoccurring theme for that director is like kind of message of like just live your life no matter how different you are, no matter how like strange people might perceive you, and it might even land you in trouble. Like at the end of the day, like you have to be yourself.
Or who else could you right, how else can you live?
Because like even when he was trying, and that's a perfect kind of way of thinking, is like even him trying to be something else that he wasn't, and it ended up like not working out for him and backfiring. Like he was trying to be Captain Hoagie when he was proposing to Nicole, because like in real life, if that was separated, he wouldn't just have done that. He would have invested time like a normal person. But even like in his own respects, he's not. I wouldn't say he's normal, which is fine. It's okay not to be normal. But
because even then, like in real life, it's not like he ever like was like dating her or like like any implications.
She had just
like,
moved across
any implications of a romantic relationship. But in Marwen like camp, like in the village, like they were like falling in love, like meeting at midnight, going on dates. Like he built her that little tea house like Hoagie did, and they like would like kiss and stuff. Like in Marwen, they were in love, but in real life they were just neighbors. But like he got the two mixed up, and wanted to be like Hoagie and propose like Hoagie.
And I think when for him it wasn't mixed up for sure. Like I feel like his interactions with real life Nicole and then his character Captain, or like the identity, I guess, that he like lived his Marwen through Captain Hoagie and that Nicole, like I feel like the interactions like intertwined for him, and like he in his mind he probably thought he did spend enough time with her, I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he kind of didn't separate the two, and in his mind it was probably justified. I think
exactly.
I think he was certainly felt like, well, of course, like we're in love, and I didn't he even tell that to poor Roberta, who like had like genuine feelings for him like in real life.
Yeah,
I'm sure he told someone. Maybe it was Carlala. I can't rember, but
I think he was showing like the pictures.
He was showing the pictures, or he was just. But even before then, like he was just saying like, oh, he was saying to Roberta, I believe, was, oh, Hoagie's in love. But the way he was saying it, like on his face, I think it was like Mark is in love.
Yeah.
You could see that there was like no separation between the two. Something I did like was Roberta. Like at first I didn't know she was like into him. I thought she was just
neither did
nice.
I when we first see her in the shop.
Yeah, she was just she was just being nice and stuff, because like all the other women in his life are always there to like help him be nice and stuff, but like you can see her like making an effort to say, hey, my mom's having a dinner, you should totally like come. And he was kind of like no, I gotta find
and
everything.
He tried to shut her down like multiple times, and I think like her, and this is like, and then they reference back to it in the end about sushi, like hey, maybe we should try this, and I think like it means like let's try going out.
But even beyond that, I think that represents like let's try and be in the real world and like be himself.
Something.
Oh yeah,
because like
definitely.
I think that before then, you know, when he told her like, oh, I don't really want to like eat dinner and stuff like that, it was because his time is already occupied. He was already like, he wasn't caring about that. And as she was asking, he was shuffling, trying to find Nicole's equivalent to the doll. And then now he left his show, which I thought was like in the beginning, I was like, oh my God, why are you like leaving your show so early? But but like that was okay, because like he is finally taking a journey now through real life instead of fiction, instead of his fantasy.
He's taking the time for his real life self.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was good though. I like that aspect. But again, this movie, it's okay. not to.
I think it was a really interesting movie, and I liked it. But yeah, I don't think it's a movie that I could go back to and watch multiple times.
Right. Yeah. You know what I could watch though? I probably could watch that documentary, because I'm kind of interested in
that. Sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
It came out in 2010. I didn't get to see who actually directed it, but yeah, that's interesting. So it's
what's it called?
It's the documentary is called Marwen Cole.
Marwen Cole.
Yeah.
Look it up.
In 2010. Yeah, that would be something I'd be kind of interested in seeing. I agree with you. I don't think I would see the movie again.
It was directed by Jeff Malmberg.
Actually, and I didn't know this either, but the producer, I think the producer for this film was Spielberg, Steven Spielberg.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, I feel like he's often the producer for many things.
Yeah. Well, and in the past, like Robert Zemeckis. Robert Zemeckis has worked with Steven Spielberg like on a lot of his other films.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they seem to be doing
a
good duo, because his whole like line of work from.
Very impressive.
It is impressive. I mean,
like
Forrest Gump, you know, you think
Back to the
Future, Back to the Future series,
Castaway.
Who Framed
That's another good
Roger
one.
Rabbit. That's like a big one.
Yeah.
1988.
I mean,
The Walk in 2015, Flight, Polar
Contact.
Express, Contact,
Contact,
yeah,
yes.
Castaway,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a broad range.
And the
Death
Polar
Becomes Her.
Express.
I love that movie.
I like
And the Polar Express.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Polar Express.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, I feel like he's very
Iconic.
iconic. He's very iconic. No, he's kind of like he can do kind of any movie. Seems like.
Yeah, he has a broad range.
Yes, he does. So, I like that. Okay, well, this is kind of go on a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's move on to like what we would rate this.
Yeah.
Just to kind of close it out.
Well, how would you rate this,
How
Robbie?
would I rate this movie? Oh, this is tough. I don't know. I kind of think of when I'm watching a movie, if I'm really enjoying it. You know, I have my snacks. I have my popcorn.
You have your bucket of popcorn.
Bucket of popcorn. Yes. So like, if I'm gonna enjoy the movie,
Yeah.
I'm gonna invest the time, right? So I'm gonna eat all the popcorn.
Yeah, eat the whole bucket.
Eat the whole bucket. That's a great movie to me. When
Yeah.
I can just like just through the whole popcorn. If I don't care for the movie, I'm not really feeling it. I'm not gonna eat that popcorn.
Yeah,
Popcorn is burnt.
Popcorn is burnt and it's just
burnt.
don't want
not
it.
touched.
Not touched. So I would rate this movie based on that terminology.
On the popcorns.
On the popcorns. I would kind of rate it like I didn't get to finish the bag or the bucket of popcorn, but
there's a dent.
there is a dent. I enjoyed it, but I just was like, I can settle and not eat the rest of this.
Yeah, and stop now.
That's my rating.
I kind of feel the same way. I think I'd get pretty full from how much popcorn I ate for this film,
Yeah.
but would I go back in for the rest that is left? No.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's fulfilling,
It's fulfilling.
but like not
it was a fulfilling
at the same time.
Yeah,
film,
but I'm
but
not craving for more.
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Kat, how do you rate this film?
I'd go maybe like 2/3 in. You know,
Yeah.
there's a little at the bottom, but I'm just gonna leave it with the kernels and stuff.
Yeah.
I'd recommend it for other people to try.
Yeah,
I think
Not
it's a good
bad.
movie. Yeah,
It
I'd
was not
recommend
bad.
it.
No.
Like other people to at least watch it once because I think it's a really good story.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it was filmed very nice. So
I don't think it's like a must see though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if you don't watch this movie,
yeah,
not the
if
end of the
you're,
world.
just looking for something to watch,
Which is
like,
kind of
Yeah.
mean to say, but I mean, I am very interested in seeing the documentary and how that compares with this movie. But
yeah, because the story is very interesting.
exactly. And I think if you could choose out of all of Robert Zemeckis's films, this certainly wouldn't be like your first
Yeah,
pick. And
top
stuff.
notch.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be like in the top 10.
Yeah,
Maybe it would.
because he just
Maybe towards
Well, how many movies has he made?
quite a bit. But like I was looking at his movies and I feel like I would watch more of those movies than this one. But it's just interesting. I real quick.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to talk about this. Steve Carell, what an amazing actor! It's
he
crazy.
did a really great
He
job.
did a great job, and like given the role, like this was like
He's got range.
he does have range, and this is. Everyone knows Steve Carell from The Office
Yeah.
as Michael Scott, and
Yeah.
at some points in the movie, it was a little hard to kind of
Dissociate
exactly.
him from that role. But I think for me, I was able to like really focus in on this character. Maybe it's because I haven't like fully watched like all of The Office, but I've seen like quite a few seasons and stuff. But I was able to like really focus in on this, serious character.
agree.
I think that also might just be us because
Right.
I mean, before The Office, Steve Carell did more than. I mean, he had done 40-Year Virgin or
Yeah.
something like that.
But like all of
And
those are like comedy. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
this movie is a comedy, but like this was a serious role, and like there was a lot.
it
of
was more.
serious
It was more
parts.
drama.
Yes,
than
exactly.
anything.
And I think that's kind of where he's heading in that
the
direction.
drama of
He
it all.
he just I don't remember. Maybe it was 2 years ago. Maybe it was like
I think it was.
2017. Beautiful Boy. That's what
Yeah,
I'm getting at.
yeah.
Beautiful Boy. Like I've seen that movie, and like his role in that is like all dramatic. it's all drama. It's all like serious.
It's very serious.
Yeah, and he does a really good job there. But again, like, I think it's just personally me. I still see him as Michael Scott sometimes. Especially, this is so weird when he like yells. I just think I'm like, oh, Michael Scott. But no, he did good, and the movie is pretty good. It wasn't terrible.
I think he's really trying to break away from, or he's trying to do something else other than comedy, at least. And I think it's working out. I liked this movie. I heard Beautiful Boy was very much recommended.
Yeah, I like that movie.
So, good for Steve.
Good for Steve. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing him in another movie I know that could be like serious or drama. So I think he'll do a good job.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, I think that's it. Join us next time. We'll review another movie. Stick around.
Have we confirmed what our next movie is?
I don't know. I think we're going to do The Shining.
Yeah.
The Shining might be our next movie.
For our first October movie.
Yes.
For spooky.
Spooky season.
Spooky season, yes.
Yeah.
So stick around for that and tune in next time. All right, guys.
That was our podcast.
Yeah, that was it.
Podcast. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.